Congrats! Your Big Field Fund proposal is eligible and you've been invited to tell us more in Round 2. This video is intended to help you review and understand the second round timeline, application process, and additional support to complete your final submission. First, a few reminders about important dates in the second round application process. On August 15th, all first-round applicants will be notified. For accepted applicants, you will receive a notification and the second-round application will open on Submittable. These second-round applications are due on October 1st at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. The second round of applications will then be reviewed by the Big Field Fund jury. And then on November 15th, all second-round applicants will be notified. In this year, we will select 6 applications for the project grant, and 4 applications will be selected for a research development grant. Again, this is the Big Field Fund panel of jurors for the current grant cycle. It's composed of 2 national artists and/or curators, and 2 from Iowa. This year, one of the jurors is also a former Big Field Fund grant recipient. Let's briefly look at an overview of the second round application. These will include a detailed project description, including the context and impetus, the who, what, when, where, and how, and the unknowns of your project. You'll also include a detailed project budget, support documents. Lead artists will also have the chance to identify project collaborators and describe the nature of the collaboration. For more detailed information, please refer to the Big Field Fund website. The following slides are a series of screenshots of the second round application. Copies of the application text for both project and research development grants are also posted on the Big Field Fund website in the second round application section. Examining this will help you prepare your responses and gather materials. There's also a link to review Big Field Fund funding priorities and key requirements for each grant type. To access your Big Field Fund second round application, log into Submittable. Remember, you can save drafts with Submittable. If you have difficulty with the application process, Submittable also offers technical help. There's even a link on the page as you work through your submission. Or contact Big Field Fund staff with questions. Once you've logged in, you'll find your Big Field Fund proposal in the My Submissions section. Open your proposal and click on the Forms tab. Here you'll find your completed work, the Big Field Fund eligibility and initial forms. Below that are your additional forms, specifically your Big Field Fund second round application for this year's cycle. Open this form and begin. The application begins with encouragement to follow the instructions, links to the second round application section on the Big Field Fund website, our AI and collaboration policy, and reminders regarding application support and the Submittable collaboration tool. Please note that Big Field Fund staff have added instructions and advice that will be useful with each step of your application. Read this information carefully and fully complete each section. Once you've reviewed this, you'll initially share the working title for your Big Field Fund project. This can be the same as your first round submission or an update. Next, share your project or research development summary. This is your chance to briefly pitch your idea so the jurors will have a clear sense of what you plan to do throughout the jury process. If you're not sure what to write as you begin, come back to this after you've completed the other parts of your Big Field Fund application. You'll also add brief participant bios. This will include your individual bio as the lead applicant and any key collaborators. If you are part of an artist collective or collaborative group, please also share more about your collaborative background and process. It's also important to note that all Big Field Fund applications must be submitted by a lead applicant. But in the second round, it is possible to invite collaborators to work on drafts and edit application content. The lead applicant will still be the primary point of contact, responsible for all final submissions and communications with Big Field Fund staff. This feature makes it easier to work together on drafting your application in tandem. To activate, look near the top of the second round application and click on the Manage Collaborators link. Follow the instructions to invite your collaborators. Submittable Help also offers a short video with more detail. This option may also support application accessibility and help you to follow our AI and collaboration policy. If other accommodations or assistance are needed to complete your application, please contact us. Next, make sure to select the type of grant you're applying for in this cycle. This should be the same as your first round application. If you don't make a selection, the subsequent parts of the application won't be visible. We'll look at the project grant first. To begin, describe the context of and impetus behind your project. We've listed a series of questions to help you answer this question, but you can write your response in the manner you are most comfortable. Next, write a detailed description of your project. Again, compose your answer in the format you prefer, but you should address all of the questions listed in the instructions. The advice in this section also highlights key points the jurors will look for and evaluate. One important thing to note is that jurors will not have access to your first round application, so make sure that any relevant details from what you submitted in the first round are included. The third and final narrative question is, what are the unknowns in your project? Most projects have unknowns, and this is an opportunity to share aspects of your project that are in the development, exploratory, and/or production stages. You may also choose to share how you'll proceed with your Big Field Fund efforts once you have more information. In this next step, you have the opportunity to offer a detailed project budget. After entering your total Big Field Fund grant request amount, you'll need to make a copy of the Big Field Fund Project Grant Budget Worksheet template. The instructions offer two options for filling it out and uploading your completed budget. Please reach out if you have further questions about these technical steps. An optional budget description follows if you need to offer further explanation. Here's a preview of the Project Grant Budget Worksheet. The budget directions are very helpful, so read through them carefully. Since each project is unique, you can add rows as needed. Remember, to balance your budget, we've actually pre-formulated the last section to help with this. Your total budget can be more than $8,000 if you have access to other funding and/or in-kind contributions, but your Big Field Fund project grant request should be $8,000. Now let's look at the Research Development Grant. Make sure to select Research Development if this is your grant type. To start, describe the future project you are proposing research development activities for, including the context of and impetus behind the project. A list of questions are available to help you complete this description. Please write your response in the manner you prefer. Again, please note the jurors won't have access to your first round application, so include all relevant details. Next, describe the research and/or development activities you are proposing to undertake during the year. Include everything that will support your progress toward the project you described above by answering the specific questions offered in the instructions. You also need to share a detailed project budget for research development. After entering your total Big Field Fund grant request amount, you'll need to make a copy of the Big Field Fund Research Development Grant Budget Worksheet template. As mentioned earlier, the instructions offer two options for filling it out and uploading your completed budget. An optional budget description follows if you need to offer further explanation. Here's a preview of the Research Development Grant Budget Worksheet. Again, review the budget directions. They're super helpful. Remember to balance your budget. While your overall budget can be more than $3,000, your Big Field Fund Research Development Grant request should be $3,000. Finally, all applicants will upload support materials to elaborate on the why, the what, and the how of your project. There are several options, so take a moment to review the instructions and specific advice. The BFF jurors will view many applications. Consider these limits and share your most relevant support materials. These could include related work samples, sketches, plans, potential sites and venue agreements, as well as community engagement and partnership agreements. If you've completed your application, click the Submit Form button. Otherwise, save your draft for later. We want artists to have the best chance of success, whether or not they have prior experience writing grants, so we provide several avenues of support for second-round applications. The first is you can send quick questions via email and we'll respond in 4 days. Or sign up for a 20-minute virtual meeting. These short conversations are good for talking through an idea or series of questions, or for getting technical assistance with the application process. Or you could request written feedback on a draft. Your request must be submitted by September 6th, and it will be returned in the order of drafts received, by the end of the day on September 20th at the latest. Feedback will be focused on clarity of writing and alignment with Big Field Fund goals. In order to do this, you must submit your application and send us a message on Submittable, letting us know that you'd like written feedback. When we return our feedback to you, we'll reopen your application so you can make any additional edits before the deadline. Details about application support and additional resources can be found on the Big Field Fund website in the second round application section. Some of the additional resources include links to organizations that offer tips for creatives and professional best practices, budget tips and considerations on paying yourself and other artists, suggestions on how to document your artwork. We also include important reminders regarding Big Field Fund locations and venues, the timing of your grant activities, a few more reminders about Big Field Fund budgets, and partnerships. Here are the orgs linked on the resources page of the Big Field Fund website. And here are a few of our favorite, simple but important tips. Make sure you're answering each question directly and completely. If you're confused about any aspect of the application, ask us. And refer back to the Big Field Fund rubrics and review the Big Field Fund funding priorities. The rubrics and review criteria for each grant type are available on the Big Field Fund website. This is the document that jurors will use to assess your application. Here is the rubric specifically for the project grants, and here is the rubric and review criteria for research development grants. Each rubric is a good reminder that the jurors will contemplate and rate whether your final proposal aligns with at least one of the Big Field Fund priorities, that the proposed research, development, or project is grounded in the visual arts, and that you intend to share your Big Field Fund endeavors in Eastern Iowa in a free, public-facing, and accessible way. Lastly, don't hesitate to reach out or follow us. You can find us at the bigfieldfund.org website or email us at info@bigfieldfund.org and follow us on Instagram at bigfieldfund. Thank you for your attention. We're excited to read more about your projects and research development activities.